As Indian Army and Indian Air Force prepare for a winter face-off against Chinese PLA at the LAC, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi has warned of Chinese PLA employing grey zone tactics or grey zone warfare in an attempt to salami-slice the border.
So keeping that in view, we are preparing ourselves for the grey zone battle.
Army Chief elaborated, quote, "Do we call Doklam a war? Do we call Kargil a full-fledged war? Do we call Galwan a war? The answer is no. So all these are basically part of the grey zone battle, so we need to be prepared for it." Now this means that there should be common thinking at the entire level, because a small tactical miscalculation will lead to a strategic ramification which can involve the entire country. So keeping this in mind, we are preparing ourselves for grey zone battles, unquote. Now, grey zone warfare involves short, highly localized confrontations to gain tactical advantage without risking open warfare or battle. So China may attempt another confrontation like the Galwan Valley standoff to gain a strategic edge at another location along the nearly 3,500 kilometer long LAC. Could it again be Ladakh, or could it be Arunachal this time, where Chinese graffiti was found dozens of kilometers inside Indian territory last month in the Anjor district? Army Chief highlighted how China is employing this grey zone tactics against other neighbours as well, be it in Tibet or the South China Sea. General Dwivedi claimed, quote, "They are carrying out this artificial immigration settlement. No problem, it's their country, they can do whatever they want. But what we see in the South China Sea when we talk about the grey zone," unquote. Army Chief was speaking at the Chanakya Defense Dialogue in the capital. His insights revealed that China wants to bully its neighbours without risking total war. He also claims that the only way to deal with China is to stand up to its bullying, like the Indian Army did in Galwan Valley. So is his statement a hint to other victims of Chinese bullying like the Philippines or Vietnam or Taiwan? Army Chief explained further, quote, "With China you have to compete, cooperate, coexist, confront and contest." So that's the situation today. It's stable, but it's not normal, and it's sensitive. We want the situation to be restored back to what it was before April 2020, whether in terms of ground occupation, situation, or the buffer zones which have been created, or patrolling, which have been kind of planned as of now, unquote. Army Chief explains how Chinese salami slicing in the middle of the pandemic meant the loss of trust is the biggest casualty. His statements comes days after the 31st round of WMCC talks on the India-China border affairs in Beijing on the 29th of August. Meanwhile, 21st Corps Commander meeting was held at the LAC back in February without much progress. The standoff continues in the final two friction points, including Demchok and Depsang up north, where PLA is well dug in previously neutral territory and refusing to accept its own border agreements nor respecting the pre-2020 status quo. Army Chief added, quote, "It's for the diplomats to give options and possibilities. The Indian military remains prepared for any eventuality," unquote. Meanwhile, the Indian military is making preparations for a winter standoff with the PLA for a fifth straight year. Winter stocking is being carried out for 50,000 to 60,000 Indian soldiers to be stationed in Ladakh right through the cold season. To review the operational situation, General Upendra Dwivedi and Commanders-in-Chief of the force's 7 commands will meet in Sikkim on the 9th and 10th of October. So can India counter the Chinese grey zone tactics? Army Chief explained, quote, "There should be common thinking at the entire level, because a small tactical misaction will lead to strategic ramification that can involve the entire country. So keeping this in mind, we are preparing ourselves for grey zone battles," unquote. Meanwhile, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has rejected Chinese propaganda of a new normal at the LAC, saying relations can only go back to normal once China withdraws and respects the pre-2020 status quo. Amidst the deadlock, China conducted a high-altitude missile test near the Karakoram Plateau in what media is projecting as a subtle warning to India. Chinese media, Xinhua, reported a subsonic cruise missile was successfully intercepted at an altitude of 5,300 meters for the first time. Now, personally, I don't know what the fuss is all about. Even the Indian military has the S-400 from Russia, its own indigenous BMD or ballistic missile defense, as well as Akash missile defense system, which are all very capable. What is significant though is that the missile test was carried out on the same day as the 31st meeting on the border affairs in Beijing. The timing of the test surely is not coincidental. However, I feel surely the CCP knows that any defeat against India in a larger war or battle would tarnish the image of a global superpower that the CCP is trying to create. Of course, Chinese military commentators are calling the test a guarantee of strength. Lin Minwang from Fudan University told South China Morning Post, quote, "It carries a certain deterrent message. To avoid war, we must first possess the capability to fight. It is impossible for China to meet India's demands. Both sides are intensifying efforts to reach an agreement on border issue as soon as possible," unquote. The big question is, does China want to avoid a larger war with India? And why is it focusing on grey zone warfare? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.